Hello, my name is Cody Nowak. I am the Director of Research and Development at Martin Brothers, the premier drywall framing subcontractor of Southern California. And what I'm sharing with you guys today is mixed reality for construction. So we're actually starting to build buildings with holograms, right? So there's multiple things that we can do with mixed reality for construction. We can create construction layout, right? Instead of using construction documentation, we're using the holograms. So we're going from 3D to 3D. The process that we're in right now is we create a BIM model, building information modeling, right? So it's a 3D model with all this information about the building. And then we create sections off that building, right? So we create a section, look straight down, that creates a floor plan. Look straight up, that's a reflected ceiling plan. Create a section, cut, and from that, what we're doing is placing annotation on top of that 2D drawing, right? And then building 3D again. So we go 3D, 2D, 3D, right? And what we've suggested, we've created a proof of concept where we actually built a small bathroom pod with framing. So we're going from 3D to 3D, which is pretty exciting for me, right? Because now we're mitigating human error, hopefully, right? Because we're going directly from the as-coordinated BIM model to the as-built building. So what's really important is having a one-to-one human scale. Getting that scaling correct is very important because we're always in the built environment, right? It's a one-to-one scale. So as we're building from BIM models, we need to be exactly within construction tolerance. Our tolerance within framing is about 1/8 of an inch. Other trades have larger tolerances, so that will enable them, they could basically be using the HoloLens today for like electrical conduit runs. A big deal also is Copresence, right? So having multiple people in mixed reality, right? So we could have foremen and apprentices in the same model at the same time, looking at the hologram for example, maybe this wall over here, there's bottom track, right? So they both know exactly where to place that bottom track for that wall. Another exciting example of what we can do with mixed reality is remote assistance. So we could have a field engineer out in the field that has a question and needs to have the actual engineer, the structural engineer, come out from the office, right? So that's something that happens constantly in our industry. It's a request for in-field verification. So a lot of times we have to stop construction and wait for that engineer to have the time to come out from the office. Typically it takes a few minutes, he just reviews and maybe he needs to re-engineer. But with remote assistance, he could just, that field engineer could call into the office to the engineer and have his question answered pretty quickly, right? The first ROI that we've seen with creating the proof of concept of the bathroom pod is marketing. Subcontractor doing drywall framing, a lot of people I saw in the audience gave me a crazy look, right? Why would somebody like me in my industry be interested in utilizing technology innovation in this industry? You know, it creates a lot of interest from other trades to actually work with us, right? Big deal. And of course, I know all you guys in the audience already know it's a Wild West with possibilities out there with augmented reality and mixed reality, especially for the AEC industry, the architecture, engineering, construction industry. It's such a big market, and a lot of people don't really understand that. I know that gaming sexy in the entertainment industry is very highly sought after, but if you're interested in actually creating and developing and making some money, the AEC industry is the place to be. All right, so I'm about to show you a proof of concept video. We created a bathroom pod that we typically prefab and install in hospitals, right? So what we did is we built this bathroom pod with no construction documentation, no plumb bobs, laser level, chalk lines, anything like that, just the traditional tools of the trade.
We have always really been into the opportunity of augmented reality, mixed reality. What if we could actually put out layout for construction? With the bathroom pod, we're able to just do framing, slim it down to 2.5-inch track and stud, which is that's all we really need for proof of concept. So we're able to see where that bottom track is laid, where that top track is laid. Right, and do that overlay, cut to length, based on the actual 3D model of the track, and then shoot it, and screw it down to the ground, right, into the ceiling, and then go through and place the studs on that 18-inch on center spacing, and utilize the HoloLens, the hologram, for that placement, and then go through and build the rest of the bathroom pod. We wanted to prove that we're able to actually utilize the Microsoft HoloLens to do framing, right? Specifically. That's what we set out to do, and that's what we did. It is a version process, so we're going through the iterations with our partner, Scope AR, and it's something to stay tuned and see where we're going to go with it.
All right, so pretty exciting. You saw the first proof of concept for building with construction layout. We see it's the future. It's definitely, it's not if, but when. So right now what I'm setting up is our platform that I just exited. Give me 1 second here. For construction layout, I'm gonna do a live demo of the bathroom pod for you. Stay open. All right. There you go. There we go. All right, so HoloLens tether has about 3-second delay. I don't know why it keeps on popping up. All right, so what I've done is aligned the bottom track that you see here with the stage level and then the back wall here, right? And we pushed it through a platform our dev partner Scope AR has created. So what we're able to do is rapidly push models from our BIM authoring platform, Revit, through FBX file format through Unity into a cloud-based platform for the HoloLens, right? And then we load that specific hologram into the correct space. There's different ways of locating that model in the correct location. What Scope's done so well is really nail down on that location base of where that hologram stays, right? And we've been able to get it within construction tolerance, which is really exciting for people within my industry. So what I'm looking at here, and I'll try to slow down. I know it's probably getting all crazy up there. I don't want to make you guys sick out in the audience. Is the bottom track, right? And what we're doing is we can go through the steps of construction. So I'm looking at the bottom track here, and if I look up, I'll see the top track, right? So as you saw in that video, our worker came up and was able to place the bottom track first, climb up on a ladder, and place the top track. Now with the verbal command next, there you go. We go to the next step, which is studs, right? And we even have a ceiling grid, so I can actually walk in, drift in just a little bit with the tether. But we can now see that ceiling grid. And then next, where's it at? Next. There we go. So now we have the backing for wall-mounted equipment, and that's the final step for the bathroom pod for framing. But the idea is that it's a platform. It will be open to any trade, any subcontractor that wants to be able to use it for construction or contractor. And we're pushing this directly from the BIM model. We're already creating this content. So first proof of concept for construction layout. I'm happy to answer any questions. Anybody have questions? Yes? Right, exactly. So I believe the question was, how are we making sure that the materials for construction align in the right location for construction, correct? All right, so that's something that we're vetting right now. With the bathroom pod, we're able to turn off the HoloLens, turn it back on, and it's in the same location. So the way that we do that now in this industry, there's multiple ways to measure from grid lines. So we create grid lines like for column grids, right? Where we have a few columns over here that we can see. But that's actual like the backbone of a building, right? And everything's measured off those grid lines. So either with a tape measure or with a total station, right? So a total station is on a tripod, almost like a 3D scanner, but not so smart, and just shoots 1 point, right? And that 1 point is based on the overall location. And that's where I think we'll pull that point, right? So we'll use a total station probably, pull from that point and either place a marker there or create the space, get the reality capture of a space and place on that 1 point. Or it could be 2 points. Does that make sense? Yeah? So we're, right.
You can compare with where you have and with the, and then you can model sensors in order to capture that, right?
Right. So yeah, it's definitely in the vetting process right now. It's early stages. All right. We're dealing with alpha apps, alpha software, and a development kit from the HoloLens. But the opportunity is there, and that's we're constantly in the process of making sure that that can actually happen, right? And we're pretty confident that with smaller spaces, we can actually do that. Yes.
So the work process for the builder, the person that's on site that's building that, I mean, is it basically, I think if I'm understanding it right, you've got your HoloLens on, you've got a stack of material, aluminum, or whatever you're making that out of. And are they just really like lining up the raw material to that grid, like using the HoloLens to make their mark, using their saw, and I mean that's getting you within the 1/8 inch.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's actually what we did with the proof of concept, right? Was the worker came out with the bottom track, aligned one end, went to the other end, and then just had like a Sharpie, made a mark, and then used tin snips to, yep, exactly, and then lined it back down and then screwed it down, right? So it's essentially taking the skills, the learned skills of the labor force that takes potentially years, it does take years, to a point where now they're able to visually see that skill, right? So younger generations can learn this knowledge much faster. Yes?
Yeah, just listening to that makes it sound so straightforward, but you had plenty of difficulties this morning. That was the same one, right?
Yeah, it was. Actually, I didn't have a Wi-Fi tether, so.
That's not at all.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, it's challenging here. Multiple presenters have had multiple difficulties because
Right.
AR is just not there yet, these devices. So how the heck do you get this consistently working in the field? And a related question, have you seen pushback from construction workers not too excited to walk around with
Of course.
thing on their
Right. Great point. Very valid point, right? So there's multiple answers to that question, right? Where we're at right now, we're just vetting the HoloLens. The point that we're actually able to build with holograms and build a structure was amazing. You know, that's the first time it's ever been done. So that's where we're at right now, proving that it's capable. The capabilities are now there, right? And getting the construction industry, the AEC industry, to start thinking about that. What will that look like in the future? Because it will be there at some point. It's not there today. I'm not saying it's there tomorrow or even this year or within 5 years. I'm not sure. But it will be there at one point. And at that point, it's more than likely going to be a smaller form factor, I believe, right? I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard that at this event or other places. But yeah, and then the construction sort of, what do I want to call it? The construction style of a construction worker. They see something new like that, they freak out. Like the first thing that a construction worker does when they get brand new boots is they beat them up, throw them in the mud, because they don't want to be that guy that has new boots on. If you have new boots on, you're like me, you're an office guy, right? So same thing with technology. There's the Daiquiri smart helmet that looks all space-aged and crazy. There's no way that somebody out in a construction field is actually going to wear that. It's far-fetched. Unless they're forced to, but yeah.
How much time did you save by skipping the 3D step?
Great question. So that's actually a process that we're going through right now. Is we're taking one of our best foremen and we're creating a metric where he builds with traditional means of construction. We're doing the bathroom pod again. And we'll have GoPro set, timer set, and then we're gonna give him the HoloLens and take the traditional means away of construction and allow him to do the same thing over again and do the GoPro footage and timing and then put it side by side, share it with the world so everybody can see and figure out exactly what that is.
You haven't done that yet?
We haven't, no, but that's coming very soon.
Just building on some of the other questions, one of the benefits you said is going from 3D to now the 2D step. What about construction documents that you have to create when you deliver something like that? Including in the computer protocol, how do you get around that?
Sure, so, and I did say 3D to 3D. I don't want to suggest that we're gonna replace construction documentation because that's what I've been doing for the past 15 years, right? That would scare me, but it now is a transition, right? There's potential for transition. What's it gonna look like in the future? I'm not sure. You know, this is all brand new territory for my industry, for the tech industry. But we are already creating BIM models, right? So as coordinated models, we go from design development all the way through construction documentation, and we coordinate with clash detection with other trades. So we're mitigating a lot of issues that we'd typically run into in the field, right? So from that coordination model, it does slightly change, hopefully just slightly, after the building's built. And then we do what's called as-built modeling, right? So we have an as-built model now. And then that also updates our as-built drawings, right? Our as-built construction documentation. But it's a 3D model, right? So the idea is hopefully if we're going 3D to 3D, that 3D doesn't vary much, right? Yes?
It seems like from an apprenticeship or learning or / validation of work perspective, I have a friend who's a general contractor, you know, finding good guys is a tough thing to do, making sure that they're doing the right work. When you're off-site, you have 5 different sites. Have you thought about that as an avenue for this product as well, or doing something to train workers?
So training, I believe your question is for training, utilizing.
Like, so I don't know how to build that room.
Right.
I feel like if I put the HoloLens on, I can follow those steps.
Right.
If I have the raw materials. I can learn that,
Right.
practice it, and then maybe join your team one day. Or you can say, go through this. That's what I meant.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point because we've actually discussed this before, that if it's now today we're able to actually do it somewhat and add more steps and then even add like contextual information telling the apprentice what they're doing, why they're doing it, safety, right, which is huge. especially when you're on a huge construction job site. There's definitely that opportunity, and that's probably one of the first opportunities before we actually bring it out on the site. So great thinking.
If the workers don't want to put it on, and you do it yourselfers at home, are more open to that.
Right.
They don't mind anything.
And the younger generation that hasn't actually been in that construction mentality yet, that are interested in getting into the field, like maybe through a union. I know that a lot of the unions are very interested. I've had a lot of discussions with the unions that they would love to get this in their training studios for their apprentices, right? And get those kids interested, because it's now interesting to the millennials to, hey, construction is actually using technology. I, can maybe go to that instead of, right when I get out of high school, instead of going to college or trying to get into another industry that has technology, right? Anybody else? All right, great. Thank you.